ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Lukewarm Cinema Podcast. My name is Austin. Today I'm joined with
George
and Christian.
And let's start it off as usual, guys. How was your week? Christian, we'll start with you. How was your week?
It was pretty baller, staying indoors, following the quarantine, playing video games.
Did you eat it all?
Shit.
Rhetorical.
No, I remembered because I had some grave type of food, and it was kind of good.
Some what?
Some grave food.
Okay, they said grave, like a grave.
I ate the corpse. My week was good. I watched this really interesting 2 parts of a 3-part documentary. Right. Well, it was like a conspiracy documentary. I was telling you about it earlier.
Yeah, it sounded very interesting.
Basically, World War I, bro, the history books lied about that shit, right? There was a society formed in Britain that was meant to like spread British influence, and they saw that Germany was a rising power, and they set the whole thing up against them, right?
Okay, I'm following.
And like we were taught that like, oh, the alliances were a mistake. No, they set that shit up because here's Germany, then here's Britain, France, and Russia. So like they got pincher fucked. It was like a total setup, and America got into the war because they shot our boat. The Britons, they fucking instigated that too. And in 2014, they released a document saying, yeah, we kind of instigated the attack.
Damn, they were really poking the bear on that. What's the name of this documentary called?
It's shit. Well, it's like an online thing. There's this guy named James Corbett. He's like one of those big conspiracy guys.
I've heard the name.
And he did a 3-part on his website. It has like a generic name, like World War I Uncovered or some bullshit.
Okay.
World War I, the truly bizarre.
But if you look up like James Corbett World War I, you could find it. And it got plugged to me because he came out and said, "Hey, YouTube's like demonetizing and age restricting those now."
Really?
Because like, big tech and censorship and all that shit.
Oh, so we got to be careful.
Exactly. So, anyways, it's really interesting. We were all lied to.
Yeah.
Get good. Yeah. Fun documentary.
So what about you, George? How was your week?
The week was I don't want to call it average because,
you were just
every week's a blessing. I did have a good weekend. I dabbled in some Delics of Sykes, and it, like I said, it was a fun time. You get so accustomed to like going through everyday life, and then you get like this escape that really helps you understand,
gain some perspective,
that life is like precious as you know it. I feel like sometimes I'm like, I feel bad because I could be doing so much more, but then at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing a lot in my own right, so I need to appreciate that, and I need to just like I've been just going outside every once in a while, just stand out there, and it's just beautiful, Like we live on a beautiful planet.
We live in a society. 8-minute guitar solo,
right? Like
Pink Floyd.
It would be awesome, and that's how I felt, but. So that led into like it being a good week. Me and Cameron did this. We got this deal at this place called Rio Tan and Cryotherapy.
I saw you guys were doing cryotherapy.
So it was a week long for $70, and we got to use all the amenities they had in there, unlimited. So I was like, they have a lot of cool shit. Like, this sounds like a good deal. We did it. They had like these air compression things that like would go on your arms and legs, hips. And then obviously the cryotherapy was probably the coolest. I mean, pretty much we got our money's worth. The only day we didn't go was Thursday. But one session's $50. So we got
for $70, you got the whole week?
Yes, unlimited.
Per person or just
per
one?
Person.
Okay.
So
2 sessions, it's already paid for.
It's well worth it. It's well worth it, right? So you get to around negative 250, negative. I've seen it go up to negative 290. It doesn't stay there for long because obviously, like, you're in a room temperature room, but like it's just insane the way you start shivering and stuff, and your body, I guess, it shakes so much that you burn like 500 to 800 calories. So it's
Where
pretty
was this
gnarly.
again?
This is up in the rich part of town, right next to.
Oh, of course, I got to keep the figure.
It's on Flamingo and the 215, so just way out in like the southwest part of the valley. But it was very pleasant, and I felt like my body's been really well recovered this week. So I took care of myself, treated myself, but I like did a mediocre job at like my teaching. I think I could have done better. So what about you, Austin?
Well,
how was your week?
It was good. Got switched around again at work, so that's exciting. New opportunities, new stuff like that. But I actually, over the week, I started up officially my content editing business. Finally, it took me forever, but I did it. So
It's up.
Next act. I don't know why I slurred that, but Next Act Productions, y'all. Y'all need your podcast edited or video edited? Hit me up. I'm your dude. Or I can record you if you're in Las Vegas or the like surrounding. I had to put that like in the website. Like I can record you if you're in this area.
Yeah, well, I mean, shoot, you can even just extend it out per ump. Maybe your mom knows somebody back in the day.
Well, I saw family living there, but
Bam! Look.
hey, Grandma, do you want to talk about your radical conservative theories to the world?
No, I'm glad. Before we go down that rabbit hole, that you actually went out, dude. The website looks sleek AF.
Thanks.
If you've ever, wanted to start that podcast out there, people, or you want to, maybe start a vlog.
If you want to live our lavish lifestyle
of Wiener Schnitzel.
Yeah, dude, the combos of Wiener Schnitzel are so ridiculously expensive. We're high ballers though, so we can afford
it was nothing. It was nothing.
Yeah.
George is going to cryotherapy 6 days a week.
Literally.
Yeah, bro, and I'm having unemployment money on my, PlayStation games. But if you want to live that lifestyle, Austin, he's going to help you by editing.
But yeah, a pretty standard week,
I forgot to toss in Chris joined one of my classes on Tuesday.
I was gonna talk about that. Yeah.
It was pretty awesome. I know you'll come in next week probably.
Eventually. Yeah. I was thinking I could just probably get like a half day and be like, hey, and then so I don't have to worry about like, hey, I gotta like go back to work.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know how long I was supposed to stay. I just stayed through the whole thing. It was like half an hour or something.
Because what time did you guys start?
We did it like 40 minutes.
It was fun.
What time did you start?
10
in the morning, I think.
Yeah, we started at 10 in the morning.
Because I don't have my first like long break until noon, which
For sure.
is lunch.
For sure. Well, hey, this is one of those things too, bro, where like I know you're like into your video games and everything, but like it could into your video games. You're at work. That was horrible.
Like really condescending.
I know you're like into like,
my work,
you have to focus. But like, I mean, even if you just want to tune in just to listen to these people talk. I mean, I'm sure Chris enjoyed being back in a classroom and getting to hear like what some of these kids are thinking and saying. It's pretty interesting.
I just want to see George be a teacher.
Oh man, you got to sometimes really like, even online, you got to take control, and it sucks.
You got to be like, hey yo, listen to me.
But what do you think, Chris?
I thought it was really cool. Like something like I noticed about this like the online thing is that like most of the student and how old were these students? Like around
high school, so 9th to 12th grade.
Okay. I noticed that George he always keeps his, and they call him Mr. Carmona obviously because that's how school works. And so I did too, like just to not break the immersion for that.
Just to not break it. Yeah, are we supposed to call you Mr. Carmona when we're in?
Dude, the names are one of the things I've never cared about.
Could I should I be like daddy
I've never
teacher?
cared about it. As long as you're getting my attention, I don't care.
So did I look like a dweeb calling you that in front of those kids? Like,
no, it felt pretty badass.
Oh, good.
He was like, I have power over
This
you.
is how they address me.
Authority, badass foreplay. I noticed like they only turn their mics or their cameras on a lot of times when they speak. And then, but he has his on all the time. And like,
well, I feel like you kind of have to as teachers. Isn't there like a rule with
yes, that's what I was going to say. I think like he gives him like authority and like if it was all audio, I feel like it'd be hard to like orchestrate it. But like you also have body language. So like they could read your
what
expression.
I was thinking. Yeah. Yep.
So
No,
yeah,
I'm glad you like pointed that out because I felt that early on, but I'm glad like I still have that impression on them because I don't care if my kids turn their cameras on. I mean, honestly,
Times are rough already.
I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. So if you're not paying attention, I'll know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's only 6 of us in this room. You're going to be called on at some point in time.
that's what I liked. It was cool because like nobody's like it's not like in classroom there's some fucker in the back of the room who's like checked out all the time. Everybody answered questions
Mhm.
and everybody was part of the discussion. So it was like cool.
See, like with work, not to give too much detail, but like some meetings, it's like, oh, I gotta have my camera on. Sometimes it's like,
Give them a show.
well, like they're like, hey, we want to see, like if we have like a big like company meeting, like, hey, we need to see everybody. Okay. Let
Well, it
me
makes
get
sense.
dressed.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the thing that they started to figure out, some of these old people, is like one of the funny words that they learned is bandwidth. And they started just using bandwidth like crazy.
They learned
They're like, so if you join the meeting with your camera and mic on, the bandwidth situation, and we just can't have that happen. So just go ahead and shut those off because of the bandwidth. And did I mention bandwidth is what's causing all this?
These aren't your kids. These are like admin.
These are 50-plus-year-olds that are struggling with online learning.
There's a guy I watch on YouTube named Joshua Fluke, and all he does is just roast like LinkedIn cringe.
Mm.
And he's just like, look at all these boomers that are mad now because they have to learn how to use Zoom, and they're just like, eh. And then he points out how a lot of these businesses have like supervisors just to literally micromanage people. So now that they're like a computer's micromanaging, they have like no job. So they're like, all right, we're gonna do yoga today for work, and you're like, no, I'm trying to do my fucking work.
Yeah, no, it's something that I am very grateful for. Because at the end of the day, if I'm at home or when anybody's at home, you don't know what the hell's going on off the camera.
Right.
And why should you care?
Mm.
You know what I mean? If you're getting the job done, you're getting the job done.
Were you going to say something?
Oh, no. That's how I agree without interrupting. I go,
Well, because you were like pointing like you're about to say something.
Yeah. Yeah, something I might. I noticed you have a router box chilling out down there. Did they make you upgrade your internet or something?
No. Are you talking about the cat house?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the corner. That's just where the main box is. Like,
okay.
So I figure we just put it back there. I never did anything fancy with it. It's kind of well hidden. You're like, I'm surprised you pointed it out.
I haven't noticed.
But it's like the perfect little hiding spot. But no, I didn't upgrade. I honestly, one of the first big boy purchases I ever truly committed to was buying really good Wi-Fi. And so we're at 80 megs per second here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think for
and
work,
I get that up here too. When I'm gaming,
that's good.
It's
yeah,
it's
for
beautiful.
work I have 150 down.
Mm.
But I mostly have to have unlimited though too. But they reimburse me for that.
Well, I feel it's what the dude was telling me is it's all about the fiber in your area, the fiber optics and the wires.
Well, a lot of it's wiring in your house. I know in the house that I'm at right now, the wiring is completely fucked. Like my bedroom, you have to use Wi-Fi. You can't use an Ethernet.
Wow.
Because it's just the wiring in the garage, in between the room and the garage, is just so bad.
Yeah.
So, and I know a lot of people from work that are like, oh yeah, I'm getting my building, they live in apartments. Oh, my entire building's getting rewired.
It's honestly, it's that next version of insane infrastructure that needs to that next step. I think because everything's, technology based now and everyone just wants faster and faster and faster.
Don't even start to talk about hospital operating systems. A lot of hospitals are still running on Windows 95.
Oh my God.
And then they get hacked because I could probably break into
Fuck HIPAA. All those HIPAA laws are just tossed out the window.
Well, I'm glad to hear you guys had a good week.
Yeah.
I feel like our audience likes hearing about how boring we are outside of this show.
We're just as normal and boring as you guys listening, so you don't feel alone.
We're all CIA assets. These are just it's drama for you all, We're like AIs. We're glowies, as they call them.
All right, let's get into this week's documentary. We've been on like it's mostly my fault. I'm gonna take 100% blame here. I still have not watched WandaVision. I've just been everything. It's like, oh hey, the little one needs to do this. I'm like, WandaVision can wait. And then I'm like, I should really watch WandaVision.
The thing is, I think like in a strange way, Rowan might like it. He might be like, why is Dad watching this old ass black and white TV show?
No, he just goes, Coco Melon. All right.
Speaking of melons,
Oh boy, you're missing out. Make sure you watch it alone. Or if you watch it with Vanessa.
Well, I think Vanessa said she's not interested in watching it. So it's probably going to be something I watch at my desk.
Oh, damn. Is your desk facing the wall?
It's facing the wall. So like, okay, so like here.
You better hope the teacher doesn't make you go present at any point in time.
Oh, I'll do it after everybody's asleep.
WandaVision. You got to put your backpack in front of your pants. That's how good she looks.
Oh my God, that's mentally ill that you said that. Put your backpack in front of your pants.
Did you have to? Is George talking about PTSD from high school right now?
This is middle school. Okay, I used to have it all the time in middle school.
George, what you doing around with that hussy?
Oh boy, I had really lost my homework. Cannot believe this. I just got to run to the bathroom really quick. And by that time, it's usually gone, and then you just flick the backpack.
Some of those girls were developing really early, and like in middle school, that's when the random boners started happening. So it's a very complicated time, and I think no more elaboration. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
we said we'd keep it PG. At least I did.
You said you were going to keep it PG about WandaVision.
I know.
You already.
That was
broke
pretty
it.
good. No, that was pretty good. That was like a roundabout way of
roundabout. So, besides WandaVision and being on a real Elizabeth Olsen kick, we're on we've been on like a documentary.
Just learning.
And this one, so by the title, you could probably already tell, we watched the documentary Killer Legends, which is about this. I want to say they're together, right? Those two people.
No idea. I feel like they're like-minded because, like I said,
they were sitting.
One looks like they're like medicated out, and the chick looks like she could be mentally ill. So,
but she's like, okay, go ahead.
They were sitting at the diner, and he was like, they were like really close. They were like as close as like you and Cameron were before she left.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking maybe they're together. Anyways, it's these two people, and they go to different parts of the United States looking at urban legends and like what was like the reasoning behind them. And like I already knew about like one of them, but I was like, damn, this is. I was like genuinely like on the edge of my seat the whole time, not like being scared, but I was like, what are they going to tell me next?
Yeah, there's a scene in there. It happens with each urban legend where it really like, puts everything into perspective. I think this documentary is just meant to highlight that urban legends aren't something that just happen on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean? Like these things are actual, like, they could happen, but it's not like it's a very regular occurrence.
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting because they went over 4 urban legends.
4. They talked about Cropsy in the very beginning, but I think it was just to kind of set the stage, the guy's fascination with urban legends.
Because like you think about urban legends and you think like, oh, some fucker just made it up one day, like thin air, right?
Or it's like a tale to tell your kids to get them to shut the fuck up and go to bed.
Yeah, you got to give them a little bit of psychological abuse to get them to go the fuck to sleep. Your teacher, I think you use tricks on them, right?
You got to in roundabout ways, like, the principal will definitely, call your mom type situation. And that's like the most like sincere way, the principal's not going to call your mom. Okay. He's got a lot better things to do than fucking chit chat with your mom.
But they don't know that.
Of course not. To them, it's like the first legend, the hook.
Yeah.
AKA
the Phantom.
Well, okay. This is the thing about these urban legends. They had like 8 different names. Like, did you guys feel that way? It really like it would throw me off because I wrote down the hook. I would just write down what I remembered them by. Did you like
that's
kind of connotate it in a similar way? Okay, that's where it's weird to me because I think of the Phantom, and the first thing I think of is like Phantom of the Opera.
I think of Phantom from Don't Mess with the Zohan.
Oh,
villain?
I'm forgetting. Yeah. No, it's probably some Persian dude, but I just can't remember.
Yeah, but I also definitely thought of like Phantom of the Opera too, though. Like that definitely came to my head at least once.
Mm-hmm. But so this was like also when I said he's like the Hook, right? So we're talking about the guy who just has hooks for hands. Now, is it both hands that are hooked?
No, it's just one.
It's just a hook hand.
It's just one. It's like Freddy Krueger, just one.
Yeah.
Except they put him in a Mortal Kombat and they gave him two because, chop up twice as fast.
But I thought what was interesting is they used the movie character, the Candyman, for two different examples throughout the documentary.
Yeah. That, I'm not going to lie, kind of like confused me too because I'm like,
well, I understood it.
I saw it. Yeah.
And can I just say real quick, I've never seen Candyman. I understand kind of the general premise, but that dude's hook, like, looks fucking gnarly, like, as hell. Like, it looks like he has, like, a nail going into it, keeping it to, like, his arm.
It looks like he definitely, like, fucking stabs himself. Like, there's no way that extended curved hook isn't hitting him on the leg, like, every...
Yeah, and it's not like Captain Hook where it has a little, like, no, it's like, it's like a complete, like, 180 U-turn.
It's like jutting out of his flesh.
Seriously. Did you guys think slinging slasher at any point in time?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had to bring it up because why not? Like, that's SpongeBob tossing in urban legends just to scare us in the cutest way possible.
See, I wrote the first thing I wrote was, oh, we got a phone call?
Oh shoot, hold on, I have an alarm going off.
Bro,
we got an alarm.
We've had alarms go off on this podcast numerous times for numerous reasons. Yeah, there you go. So, okay, I'll say something that I like. So, what's interesting about this is like seeing how these urban legends influence popular culture, and then how pop culture influenced the legends back. So, like with a Phantom, it was like, yeah, there was this guy in this area in a Texarkana, right?
Texarkana,
which I'm like, oh, dude, cool ass sounding town name. He starts killing teenagers. Not to get too crazy, basically, the guy apparently like put the barrel of a shotgun.
We will avoid using the word so it'll gain traction on YouTube. But he
inside of a woman, and that's all I'm going to describe it as. Okay.
Let's just say that what that would entail is a common theme for the Phantom.
Okay. And then killed her, right? So, but then somehow, because, people are creative and, it's an urban legend, that kind of formed into like, what if it was a hook that he put and did it with, right? And then when, these murders happened, and then they made a movie about it called, what was it, like The Phantom Strikes or something?
Well, that was like totally unrelated.
Was it unrelated?
Yeah, the way it was related is that it was in the newspaper, and they go, we got to give this killer a name. So they use that as the name.
And it's kind of cool because, like, in a way, it was the precursor to like slasher flicks, they said.
It was
before Halloween.
Yeah, before Halloween and before, well, the first
before
one.
Michael Myers and Halloween.
Yeah, the first slasher I think of, though, is Psycho, the Hitchcock one.
I think so. I haven't seen it, but it's one I've been meaning to watch.
The movie I think you're thinking of is the movie that it's called is The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, oh boy, is that thing fucking aged poorly.
Yeah.
Oh, they were showing little clips of it. There's some
with the trombone and
I was so confused until you guys explained that to me.
Yeah, so like one of the victims that was killed was a young girl. She was 15, which, by the way, all the women that were like, oh yeah, she's 16, looked like they were like in their 30s.
Yes.
In these photos. And then they had like a guy that she was hanging out with. He looked like he was like 12.
They had like that 50s makeup though, like middle-aged women you think would have. You know what I mean?
Right. But so the precursor to those, she's a trombone player in the school band, and she gets killed. So I don't know if they did this just to like tie in that she plays trombone, but they basically in the movie tie her up around a tree. So she's sitting there with her back facing the guy, and he has a trombone, and he tapes a knife at the end of it, and it's just like, and then just stabs her with it while he's playing the trombone, but he's like not making any noise. He's just like, oof, oof.
Yeah, but he was making like the weirdest face, like his eyes were bulging out. So I was like, is he blowing? Originally my first thought was he's blowing blow darts out of a trombone. Like, what kind of murder is this? But then you said he had a knife, and I was like, oh my God.
They showed the scene before where he had the knife taped to the end of it, and so he stabbed it. But Christian and I are over here fucking wheezing because it's the most like ridiculous thing.
Like he's repeatedly, and one in real life, the girl had a saxophone.
Yeah, she was a saxophone player. Saxophone player. Thank you for correcting me. Not trombone.
But and they're like, oh, we gotta ramp this up because it's the fucking movie. He'll have a trombone, and he does it multiple times, and fucking, you hear him blow it a little each time. And it one frame, it fucking zooms it, like first it zooms it on her face, like in peril, right? Getting stabbed in the ass or whatever.
Isn't her back?
Okay, all right, sure. Yes. And then it zooms it on his face as he like blows it. And he has his dumbass little like white sack over his face with 2 eye holes cut out.
Just little baby eye holes, too. Just like the smallest eye holes. No peripheral vision out of those eye holes.
I'm trying to find a good still frame of it. Of like him, and I can't really find one.
So that was pretty good. It's cool to see how urban legends unfold.
I was thinking, isn't it low key just weird that they would call these things lovers' lanes?
Oh yeah, because and well, they said that the original like mention of like the lovers' lane killer was like deter teens from having sex. We all know how well that goes, but
yeah, I just found it weird that everyone just referred to these alleys where kids would fuck as lovers' lane or lovers' lane. I don't know. And everyone just continued to use lovers' lane like it isn't just like, you know,
I want to know
Craig Road.
I want to know if there's like a copywritten one that's like, no, this is the actual lovers' lane.
No, honestly, but it kind of ties into where I think a lot of these urban legends stem from, and it's these small towns in the middle of
some of them
nowhere. I know the once we got to like the phone call killer.
Well, even that was a small town.
No, it was the Candyman.
Yeah,
was
Candyman
the Chicago
and the clowns.
Yeah. Well, but the really out there ones like this one is, in my opinion, like the Hook, Texarkana, Texas, the border between Texas and Arkansas. And they would keep like showing like where these murders would happen. And they were all happening in like 1946. And I mean, like they were within, you know, the town only looked about 10 miles, maybe.
At max. And that's like counting small neighborhood.
So you can really see like how some of these things can gain traction very fast. And then, you know, small towns talk to other small towns. And then urban legend.
Snowball rolls.
Urban legend. So what I found interesting that they would do at the end of all these is they would like have that one guy come on and just be like, this urban legend isn't real. This was just a murder. Everyone thinks this urban legend is real. If you believe it's real, it's not. And then he would like cut off, but he did it once for like each person. They kept like having him come back.
Yeah, he like, not to jump too far, I'd be like, candy tampering. He was like, yeah, I've never seen this.
Never once. There's no. Has your kid's candy ever been tampered? Neither is mine. Never has happened.
Case solved. Yeah, I'm running for vice president next week.
Have you ever seen a man with an actual hook hand kill somebody? Really? Yes. Improbable. You'd need to grab somebody.
Send me the video.
This was in the 40s, sir. Huh? Damn, that sucks. You should have been born later.
Well, if you wanted to prove it, you'd invent a fucking camera. Like
a phone call killer. Really? Oh, haven't heard of that one before.
Oh, did he stab you through the phone?
Haven't heard of that one before. Fucking debt collectors.
Don't even get me started.
It's just one bad killer clown, and everyone hates clowns. Just can't believe it.
I just can't believe it. But I was gonna say though, I was gonna touch upon this. The fandom became a larger than life boogeyman when they started showing like was it thriller movies or was it The Town That Dreaded Sundown in that city, in that town?
Yeah.
And they showed it like where the killings took place too. I'm like, that's just fucking asking for it. Like they're saying like people were calling like, that's not right. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, as we were like semi-discussing, it's like it's like, what if he honored Columbine by making a dramatic reenactment at the school or something like that,
Or
which
Mandalay
is
Bay.
terrible.
Yeah, you don't really see it coming, but at that same time, I think you get that small town. Let's just go to the origin, and then this director, like I said, it aged poorly. I don't think there was a lot of money put into this slasher film, but the money, I think the return on investment of this film, because they show it every October in the park. They probably make hella money off
Oh
of it.
yeah.
The return of investment's probably insane. It just keeps.
They probably run it on like somebody's VHS and project it, so they only had to pay like $3 for the movie, and they charge $3 a ticket, and they have everybody show up.
Somebody's getting dummy royalty out there. Like this director's getting a paycheck. Like, I'm just been living off this film I made in 1980.
Yeah, because the film came out in 1976.
1976. Oh my
I'm trying to see like if the director's alive or not.
So something about this that's really interesting is that whole Lover's Point shit, right?
Mhm.
Which is like the thing you always see in like the 50s, like Grease style movies, like, oh, we're gonna head up to Makeout Point. And something very interesting that was said was that that like irked me at first, but then I understood it was, you have these teenagers and they're being swept up in car culture. And I'm like,
Right.
first I'm like, what the fuck? What does that mean, car culture? But then I think, okay, this is like the 40s and 50s when, teenagers, especially in small towns, could go places because now they had cars. So, what do they do? Especially in like a much more conservative society, it's like you can't bring a girl home or bring a boy home. You can't do that. We go out into our car, we go into the woods, and we have sex. So,
And then you die.
and then apparently you fucking die. So, but what's interesting is this relates to the Truly Bizarre, right? This,
Shout out.
yeah, totally intentional shout out. The Legend of Mothman, I think, reminds me of this because, like, it's like, okay, a small rural town, hot spot where teenagers go to. Oh, Point Pleasant,
Right.
which was a TNT field. It's like an old like
Mining.
They used to
area.
have like keep like TNT shit there for like it was a munitions plant that's abandoned. Teenagers would apparently go there and hang out. Then
Hang out.
yeah, bang, they would bang each other. And then somebody comes out of it and said, "Oh, I saw the Mothman," and then all the teenagers talk about it. And they give it a name. And what was the other thing? There's another dead similarity to the whole thing. Oh, and then it becomes a point of like tourist interest for the town, which that happened with Mothman, and they're like holding festivals that like get thousands of people every year. And it seems that this town, Texarkana. I think it's definitely become like a cultural point of interest that like in a way they're both interested in and want to milk it to like help their town.
Right.
Whether it's real or not.
So I got the movie facts here. They spent $400,000.
That makes
But-
sense.
Box office was $5 million.
I knew it, dude. That's
Damn.
dummy return on investment.
Yeah, well, that was just
That's
box office.
crazy.
That's when it released. I do remember though. I didn't write this in the notes, but after watching it, the director really like kind of honey dicked everybody and filmed it like a documentary, and like didn't tell anybody it wasn't a documentary.
That's awesome.
So
like it should be illegal to do that.
Yeah, and I was
but-
saying we should do that because like look, like Blair Witch Project.
Mhm.
That they even went as far as to put up missing posters of the actors the day of the release of the film in the
Wow.
city that it was premiering. Yeah, they went and did that to kind of sell the like, oh, this really happened.
That's nuts. Okay.
Yeah. So but yeah, and I remember one of the guys who ends up becoming like somebody who's very invested in researching it said, yeah, I remember at the very end of the movie, and they cut to it and it shows just somebody's boots, and they go, oh, he could still be walking to this day. And it's like, damn, they did a really good job at scaring people because, you're in a small town. And I think that's part of it is like, if you go out to like a small town, like I've visited cousins who lived in like rural Washington, and you just look out in the trees and like part of it, you're like, wow, this is like you earlier. This is really beautiful. And other times you're like, what if something's fucking looking at me and I don't know if it's looking at me? Like your mind will just fucking mess with you.
Yeah. That's a kind of place where I know myself well enough. I wouldn't want to get too baked Like if I took an edible out there,
Yeah.
the paranoia would set in beyond belief. I get it sometimes too. Like I love paranoia, like fully embrace it. But then there hits a point when if I'm in a place where I'm not comfortable,
So if you're in your house, you're okay.
even in my house sometimes, bro, like lately, it's just been like,
Do you have like a safe spot, like your room or something?
yeah. Oh, I just chill in here, bro. Like big chilling. And like I understand the sounds around the house. You know, I think the suckiest thing is like going to bed, because like then I have to have like the animals near me. How the fuck do we even get on this?
Well, we were talking about the small town and
Paranoia,
being.
spooky
Yes.
things, bro.
See, for me, like, okay, so I've said this a lot, and that's pretty ironic that Christian and I do the Truly Bizarre, and we mostly talk about like creepy shit, which I'm gonna be getting more into. I gotta really step up my. I've been working on one, but I'm not really getting anywhere with it, so I'm probably gonna jump to another one. But I'm a fucking bitch when it comes to scary shit, but I also love scary shit, if that makes any sense. Like I love watching like spooky documentaries, and then I'll kill myself because I'll watch it at like fucking like midnight, and I'm like, I gotta go to bed.
Bro, I remember all the nights as a kid watching some like UFO thing on like the History Channel,
Oh yeah.
and then going to bed and be like, what if, they could fucking see me through my window and they're looking at me and they're going to take me away right now.
So
I had a bed next to a window, so
I had a this is when we first moved into the house that I'm in now. This is when so I'm still in my parents' house, hopefully new house by the end of the year. That's what we're hoping for. But we moved in when I was like 5, and I remember sleeping in my room, and we had neighbors, and I'm not going to be judgmental, but they were very hardworking people, and they did a lot of their own yard work.
Mm-hmm.
But they decided to do their yard work at like 10 o'clock at night.
Oh my God.
And I was
no.
sleeping. And like, so if you've both have been to my house. So if you look at the front of my house, my room's on the left side. So there's like rocks and then the other person's house. So they were doing like yard work on the rocks at like 10 o'clock at night. And I remember like I was very young. I was probably like 6 or 7 because like my sister was born at that time. And I was watching something. I think I was watching like an alien thing. And I like this is the most vivid nightmare I've ever had. I was hearing them, and I thought it was like aliens right outside my window.
Oh,
like I thought, I was like, I swear, like I can still kind of vivid. And this was like I was 6. Like I don't really remember stuff from my sleep. This is how much it fucked me up. Is like I could still see the UFO in between. And I don't know how the fuck it would fit in between my house and their house, but it did in my nightmare. And I remember like waking up like screaming, crying at like 3 a.m.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was, but stuff like that, like you just get paranoid, and I feel like that's a lot of what this is, because like they said that they were just like, oh, we got to name this after something, because if we name this killer, it gives us some sort of control.
Mm-hmm.
It goes, oh, that's the Phantom. I know what to look out for, but then really it's just some dude on meth just tweaking for 6 days.
And that's what they all low key come down to. It's just there's just terrible people out there in the world. And it's almost worse that they get like this recognition. But,
yeah.
But like they get the recognition in the most like simplest way possible, entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like people will get mad at these news organizations for just like reporting, these
Way too
people's
quickly.
names, and you may not have all the facts.
Sam
but
Hyde.
there's a goddamn movie coming out about things that actually happen, and it's rough. It's rough to like tie those in together. The thing that I really wanted to hit home was the Candyman, because
that was
this. So if it's true that the lady from Long Island, and I wrote this down. This is my note. I said Long Island bitch ruined Halloween because because she was the first one to what she put, like she fed them dog treats and
like rocks and shit. It's like, you fucking bitch, you don't even have fucking like that's just disrespectful. That's not even dangerous, it's just disrespectful.
Literally just like, why would you do that? And then ever since then, everybody, I remember my parents telling me every Halloween,
yep,
I gotta check your candy. Like
you know what it is though? It's like fucking, it's like the Santa Claus thing where you have your kid make cookies and shit, and you're like, hey.
That is true.
Because I do that. Well, Vanessa does that with Rowan. She'll be like, look at all this candy he can't eat.
Yeah. Honestly,
And since I'm the one who walks him up to each door, I'm like, all right, any Reese's? That's
they go straight
my
to you.
cut.
Okay. He's a Reese's.
I think we give him like one Tootsie Roll and that's it. And it's just like, here you go. And he's like, it's the greatest thing ever.
Wait till he gets a little bit older. He's going to start figuring your shit out. He's going to be like, I want all of this.
Hoarding the
And you're
wealth.
gonna be like, hey, we're keeping all of our candy in the kitchen when you go to bed, okay?
Just show him Candyman. Like, watch it like as a family tradition, like on Halloween, like October 30th every year. And then he's going to be freaked out. He won't even want any of his candy.
See, not to cut Christian off, but every year in Halloween when I was a kid, I used to watch Bravo's like top 10 or top 100 scariest movie moments, and Candyman was one of them. And you know the guy who plays Bear Jew in Inglourious Basterds?
Yeah.
So he's a director. He mostly does horror films. Like he did Hostel, which apparently like he was the only.
Oh, Hostel's weird.
He said he was the only guy. Him and the editor were the only people that could like stomach watching like the footage of what they filmed. Like he said, that's how crazy it was.
It was a gory movie.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's great. But he talks about how when he saw Candyman, he would like wake up in the middle of the night because he feels like Candyman's at above me in my bed. Because there's a scene where he's like looking down on this kid, like in his bed.
Oh my god!
It's like I don't know. Like I love that about scary movies. Like it has that effect on us, but I also hate it because it has that effect on us.
So like a monkey's paw or whatever they call it. Plus and a minus.
I will say the more and more that you put yourself in those high anxiety, high pressure situations, like the more comfortable I do feel. Like I know I said I get paranoid at my house, but I say it's a good paranoid because like I don't know if it's just growing up or if, you know, I've just been in this situation so many times that I'm not as freaked out as I used to be.
Yeah, I think some things still freak me out. Like if there's something that's like, okay, so like I watch a lot of like, you know, Skinwalker stuff, you know, stuff like that. And that shit is like kind of like, why am I watching this at like 11 o'clock at night when they said they're supposed to attack people at night? Or like The Rake. That shit is fucking frightening. I got a video to show you probably after this, but there's a video of like, and I know we're getting really into cryptids, but like cryptids, like it really ties in with legends. Have you heard about The Rake?
I have not.
Do you know how to explain it?
I don't know what the rake is.
Oh,
I don't know
what?
the rake.
Okay, so the rake is like this like pure white figure that like kind of walks around on all fours with his claws, and he's just like pulled back like muscle.
Oh, okay. I've probably seen,
there's a picture. I'm pretty sure. I'm 99.9% sure it's like a something awful forum post, but there's a video in like London of like the sewers, and there's like this creature that keeps peeking at it around the corners of the sewer. There's like a robot that goes in and like just checks for blocks and stuff like that, and it peeks at it, and then the camera moves forward and it just scurries. And I'm gonna show you that video after this, but it's real fucking crazy. But stuff like that, it's kind of like, why am I watching this? So I don't know. I guess I'm getting back to the point of like, a lot of this is just preying on people's fears, and I feel like it's one to keep people like safe, and two, it's to like maybe keep control, like with the lover's lane. Like I don't want you having sex. I want a grandchild.
I could see it. I don't think they did as good of a job as they could have when it came to hammering home that like those points. They really went in depth with like the stories proving that, you know, these urban legends are centered around murders, but I think they could have done a better job of this is oh crap, I just lost my point. Did you know where I was going with it?
No, you're talking about how they're related to murders.
You're saying they could have done a better job of hammering home the point.
I know of proving that these urban legends are just
Bologna sandwich?
yeah. No, I had the better word. I just hate myself for that. Dang it.
They're literally just urban legends.
Mm-hmm.
Urban myth.
But you can't be afraid of them.
To an extent. Like you can be aware, you can be alert. You don't need to panic.
Did you guys think the phone call killer one was like by far the most sensationalized? Like in our lifetime, I feel that. Oh
yeah, like I have my aunts. I have two aunts and they're twins, and they would always tell me like, "Oh my god, I was babysitting and I was watching that movie while I was babysitting," and I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta go check on the kids." But I sorry, Christian, go ahead.
So what was interesting about the phone call one is that they showed a little compilation of all the movies
Yeah.
that did it. And the first I thought was Scream, because actually I recently watched Scream 1 and 2 again, which they were really good.
Dewey.
Yeah.
You can't kill him.
And and it's so interesting how like this story, like something happened and like it was kind of what happened but not really. And then like Hollywood and like pop culture like conflates it to like, what would be scarier than that? Oh, what if he was calling the babysitter and he's like, I'm inside the house, I'm gonna fucking kill you. It's like urban legends. It comes down to like we just want to be entertained really bad. So fuck it, anything goes.
And I feel like it's also like, because they were saying like the real fear behind it is the anxiety of like you're responsible for some person's kids. Like, and that's the real scary part.
Did you check the children?
I do have to say though, I like that story the most because of how gruesome it was. How much like they straight up showed like autopsy photos. Like,
yeah,
like
that guy was
scene
strangling
photos
the chicks with cords.
well, it was only the one, and she was strangled with an ironing cord. But like, goddamn, they showed it, and I was like, oh, cool. We're just gonna see this.
I would have couple of things I would have liked to have seen in this. I would have liked to have seen the actual lethal injection be given to the original Candyman.
I got a movie for you.
Would have been pretty sick.
There's one where they show it.
Well, I've seen videos of it, but like to see that specific dude though, because
they probably just didn't film it.
Killing your kid.
Well, and here's the thing: is like I feel like I don't know. I feel like they didn't do a good enough job of really outlining the evidence. They just kind of said, "Yeah, he took out a life insurance policy on his kids but not him and his wife." And I'm like, you know how expensive it is to take out life insurance policies? Like, thankfully, I get one for free on myself, let alone like try to take one out on my son.
Yeah, no, I just remember the movie with Matt Damon, Suburbicon, and if you guys haven't watched Suburbicon, highly recommend it. But it's centered around them committing a murder and like the insurance fraud people coming in and saying like, oh, it appears that you took out a claim on your significant other just 3 days before they passed away. That's just strange. And it just reminded me right of this situation where it's like, oh, this is a blaring red flag right here. Like,
yeah. But then it's also kind of like, did we hear what the airtight alibi was of the guy who gave him the Pixie Six?
No, they said it and then they just fucking
It
said,
he pointed out the house.
Oh yeah. Because the dad, which I remember like, oh, it's the wife.
And then 5 minutes later, it's the dad.
And then we're like, oh shit, it's the dad. That's dumb, but it's true. The dad, who I guess he did it, let's say, right? He tried to say, oh, I got that from some other house. And then he's, the ladies had apparently an airtight alibi, which probably means just that other people were able to confirm it.
They were probably like, no, I was at my mom's house and we were, at the store. And then they're like, okay, so we went to the store. Yeah, I saw them from this time to this time. Oh, all right. I think what kind of makes it more realistic or maybe more feasible that the dad did it is the way that they described how the kid died. Was like they said, like he got the Pixie Stick and he opened it and poured it down his kid's throat. They almost made it seem like, open your fucking mouth.
Okay, see, I thought that was really weird wording because like there was no witness to what happened. So like
they could say fucking anything.
Exactly. Okay. And
ask the fucking kid, get him,
dig that motherfucker up, ask his bones. I want to talk about like whether that guy's innocent or not, but before that, the topic of like the whole like cultural phenomenon of like checking candy and shit, like that was the thing that was all through our childhood, right? That was like, fuck the clown thing. But anyways, that's later though. So we had to do that, right? The candy checking, and this documentary pointed out that first the story was, that lady was giving dog biscuits, but that was like more or less harmless. Then the big story was the guy with the fucking Pixie Stick. Okay, and the first news that came out was, oh, some neighbor gave this to me, and that's what killed my son, right? And that started the hysteria, like, oh shit, random neighbors are giving out fucking cyanide pixie sticks. And then that started this big sweep of this bullshit, like, oh, x-ray your candy in case there's fucking razor blades in your piece of peanut butter cup. But then it turns out, no, he took out a life insurance policy on his kids and he killed the kid. So then you got to think about that. The whole salacious story of giving out poison candy is false. He just killed his son and found a creative cover story. So the fact being that this whole bullshit that's been subjected to us has just been kind of bullshit. You know, it's been a fake, it's been a myth. So it's it's cool to see that they explained it step by step how that whole thing like culturally played out.
Right. I think what rubbed me, and I was vocalizing this when we were watching, what rubbed me the wrong way is the assistant district attorney who ran the case was super like almost too emotionally involved and biased on that case. When they interviewed him, he's like, that fucker's going to hell. Like, and I was like, dude, really? Like, I just want to hear the black and white. I don't want to hear your opinion on it because you're a parent and you're probably very pro-life and, you know, you hit your wife or whatever. But like, all he was doing is he was just shit talking this guy. And this guy to the moment he died was like, no, I'm innocent. And he was like, I'll take another polygraph test, you know, and he's like, I'm telling the truth. And everyone was like, you ruined Halloween.
He killed him.
I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying this documentary didn't do a good enough job of really explaining all of the evidence. Like it definitely like it.
Dude,
it's
the
pretty
jury
reasonable.
Found him guilty in 45 minutes,
and then sentenced him to death in 75 minutes.
Like that.
I want to know what else they saw. Like I feel like that would really.
I think this, and that's just why I think once we get to our ratings, it'll be very clear. It could have been done better. These are, I think they bit off more than they can chew. You turn this into maybe one or two of the, or just two, I would say.
I feel like if they maybe did like a series,
because some of them tied together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you could talk about like because Candyman and the Phantom
tied together.
They all of them except for like the clown at the end, kind of the other three kind of all tied together about it's just about this, you know, murder, and so an urban legend came out. But like at least with the clown, it was like, oh yeah, that dude is a clown.
I think that's when they should have cut out.
Yeah, I said that because John Wayne Gacy has like 800 other documentaries about him.
That, and they just did a very poor job at it. They just drove around in a van with a fucking clown. Like, did you guys not find this? Like, what are we watching right now?
Were like, because he was like waving at people. Real quick, so before we jump onto that, I have, you know, I found it kind of crazy that the babysitter thing just spanned a whole wave of movies. Some of them like remakes of original movies, and it was just like, dang. But that one gave me like an eerie feeling because of where the house was located. Like the picture showed, it was just a house on a lot. Like there was no neighbor, and I think that gives me like being out in the wilderness alone.
Yeah.
Like oh, my neighbor's 2 miles down the road.
Bro,
like that shit gives me the heat. Like even though I'm a gun-toting mother, like it's still like.
Because at that point, there ain't nobody to even hear you scream, bro. Like,
and they came to the conclusion with the babysitter murder, not officially. They unfortunately did a very racial profiling and used a guy that had killed a African American male who had killed his wife, and was not. What did they say? He was like mentally unsound.
I think they said he was learning disabled or something. What I remember from it is they were saying somehow he was slow.
Right. And
like
then
maybe mentally disabled.
And then you find out, oh, it's like a very like Confederate town. And they stand for the Dixie every morning, which is a Confederate song. This dude is a colored man. He's nobody blinked an eye. I was like, yeah, it was him. Probably.
Super fast.
See, and that's something that's interesting is like, we see like, okay, some heinous shit goes down. A legend gets created about it. Everybody's sad because like whoever, you know, Most of these are like kids dying. Let's not lie. Most of these things are about fucking kids getting murked.
I think almost all of them are of teenagers. Some of them might be over 18, like 18, 19, but a lot of them are like the Candyman. That kid was 6, 7.
Yeah, little boy.
Yeah, little boy. And then the other ones were like teenagers, like 16, 17.
People in school.
Yeah, learning to drive or just got their license.
When like there's this like demonic fucking legend that we have to catch, I think people are very eager to pin it on somebody, right? And going back to the Candyman one, I think that he was probably guilty only because the life insurance thing.
Yeah, it's definitely like I'm not trying to say like I don't think he's guilty. Like there's a lot of signs that point to him. I just like George said, I wish they did a better job of just like showing facts and showing evidence that because they just said like he took out a life insurance policy and he talked about cyanide with somebody else before. Christian and I have talked about like accidentally running people over. I've never done that, nor do I plan to.
Yeah. They interviewed a lot of people in this documentary that served very little purpose.
It was just kind of like, who can we get? We need some eyewitness.
Yeah, like scene setting. And you know, I would have been completely fine with them like, and I think you see this in a lot of other documentaries now where they just, instead of showing like those photographs or stuff, it's more like graphs, like really like a flow chart, almost helping you puzzle things together and constantly reminding you. And then in this documentary, like I just got lost sometimes.
Yeah,
I was easy to get back on track because they're moving through a lot of topics fast. So like if you missed maybe a minute, you can still pick up the next one. But
so what you're saying is it wasn't as good as the Truly Bizarre.
No,
because you've never told us you've been lost with any of our videos.
No, I haven't because you guys don't bite off more than you can chew. Like it's
okay,
doable.
I think that like this movie tried to stay punchy by like covering one thing then moving on to the next, which I liked about it. But overall, yeah, it was kind of like I felt like the way each of like story was fleshed out, some was more interesting than others. What I liked about it was how it tried to like explain like the cultural phenomenon of all these like legends. And so certain little nuggets and connections are interesting. For one, going into the clowns, right? The guy said, you know, we were kids that were growing up in, you know, stranger danger culture.
Right.
Which that's another thing that I remember being told, oh, stranger danger. My dad told me that.
Well, did you guys have, because we went to the same elementary school, did you guys ever have that police officer come in and talk to you all the time?
Yes.
Was it the same lady? Did you have a lady that did it?
I don't remember, but I remember
I got a ton of free shit from her. She'd give me like stuffed animals and stuff. You answered questions, right?
They'd always come in and be like, if somebody asks you to help find their dog, don't do it. And, you know, like shit like that. Like all these, like as kids, you're fucking innocent, but you have to be like, there's all these schemes to kidnap and rape you. So you got to play the fucking game, kid. Like, you know, and that's like making that, you know, I'm just, you know, making a joke out of it. But like,
yeah,
we were taught stranger danger, which is kind of like this symbol of like innocence, like degrading, which is like, they said that's why it's ironic that clowns became this like serial killer type thing. But it also plays into the Halloween candy thing because the same with the candy, right? People were under the impression that there were all these numerous strangers out there giving out poison candy. And it's stranger danger and the poison candy ties together in the way that, you know, it's kind of like being scared of everything around you. Like everybody's just dangerous.
Like a hyper paranoia.
Exactly.
It's just like, I'm scared of everything. But jumping into the clowns. So they started off with like 2008 Clown Craze. There was one that we had a couple years ago. Remember? Do you guys remember that?
I do.
Yeah, I almost thought they were going to cover it, but then I'm like, oh, this is from 2014. It was like 2017 or 18 that it happened.
I want to say maybe 16. I think I was still in high school. I think it was like we were about to graduate. But they were talking about all of that, and then they were talking about, the 90s. Like, oh yeah, there's another one because there's a guy driving around in a van, and it's in Chicago. And to tell you like what kind of like interviews they get, they're literally just walking down the street. This guy goes, "You guys filming a movie?" And they ask him, "What do you know about this?" Like that's the kind of
literally
like they don't like they didn't look for people. They were just kind of like, oh, hey, do you know about clowns? Hey, yo, dog, I seen them like 10 miles down the road, bro.
Bro.
Every street here is dangerous, bro. It's scary here.
Literally. And then they would leave the interviews and be like, wow, I think that really changed my mind. And I'm like,
Yeah.
bitch, you just read 90 documents. I am looking at your binder. You've done more reading than that dude's done in the last year.
You literally just listened to a crackhead talk about his ambiance like trip that he just had for.
He thought you were talking about hummingbirds, and you're just like, you know what? I think I believe him. He's.
But it's the equivalent of like looking up like a weird forum post about how, you know, the reptiles run the fucking Pentagon, and I have evidence. Well, in my head, I can explain it to you. Like, it's like that.
They're an interdimensional being. You can't see them, but you can feel them.
It's basically the equivalent of that. Like, oh, some random person says, there's ghosts in my boats.
No, really, they just have schizophrenia and they murdered 15 people in the boat.
I'm so glad you brought that up. That's so funny.
So they eventually get to John Wayne Gacy, and I knew it because they kind of hinted at him at the beginning, but because he was Pogo? Was that his name?
Yeah, Pogo, yep.
Pogo the clown. And I found this very interesting because of how dark the history was of clowns that they got into. And they talked about so I'll read. It was a horrific train crash that killed 86 performers in Chicago, most of them being clowns. And I felt like that could be seen as the start of like a dark omen behind clowns. I don't remember the year. I think it was in like maybe the 40s. But for people who don't know, I believe it was in Chicago. There was train cars that were parked because they were running a circus. And so they had all these performers and they would sleep in the train cars like that was their home. And a conductor fell asleep and just ran into him. And whoever wasn't killed on impact like burned alive. And I think the most depressing one was this guy. I forgot what they said he was, but he basically
he became a sad clown.
He became a sad clown who dressed in rags. And I don't know if the timeline was he did this after the accident, because I thought they said like he was on his deathbed after the accident. But basically he was talking about, he was alive after the incident, at least enough to make the statement. He said his kids and his wife were with him, and they were so happy to see him dress up as a clown, and they were killed like right in front of him. And he was like, they were so happy, I wish I could have died with them. And I was like, dude, like, I don't know. As a parent, that shit hits you like a little harder. I'm like, God damn. Like the other ones were like spooky and creepy because of like the setting and like, oh, there's nobody here to hear you scream, or it's in the middle of the night, everybody's away. This one is just like, yeah, I watched my family get killed in front of me. And then John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah. I didn't write too much down for the Killer Clowns one because
I was eating in the beginning, so I didn't really write it all.
I was just not I hate clowns. Like I really do. I've never watched. Well, I've seen it. I've seen enough bits and parts of it to say I've seen it. But clowns have always had like a weird spot in my heart. I was really impressed with like the Joker. That like started to leave a positive taste of clowns in my mouth. But still at the end of the day, all clowns have fucking creeped me out my entire life.
Yeah, and
I can't ever see how people find those like happy and joyful.
Well, I mean, if you look at when they started as jesters, you had like the fucking bubonic plague or crusade. You're like, anything's better than fucking death.
I think that's a very like big part of what they're trying to explain is like clowns used to be happy and there wasn't any fucking doubt about it. Then it was like tragedy. This motherfucker's burned alive. Somebody dressed up as a clown and killed a bunch of people. And I think that's why they brought up John Wayne. John Wayne
Gacy.
Almost,
who's John Wayne?
I was thinking of the actor John Wayne.
Happy Thanksgiving, Pilgrims.
And I think it explains how culturally we went from clown good to clown fucking Stephen King's It, right? That's the one I saw as a kid that made me say, clowns aren't fucking happy. They're shapeshifters and they're fucking scary.
See, and they mention that too because they go, well, you had It, and then what was the other one with the clown? Oh, Poltergeist. But John Wayne Gacy did all of his murders and was talked about a year before Poltergeist even came out. which was because they said Poltergeist was 82 and it was 86. And John Wayne Gacy murdered those people in the 70s, and I think in 81 was caught. But man, like clowns always kind of freaked me out because it's kind of like they carry this persona of like I'm just gonna be chaos, and it's not like I'm gonna kill people, but it's like I'm gonna fucking I'm gonna wreck it. And then you have those people from like a couple years ago when they would just stand in front of people's like Ring doorbells and just stare. Did you guys ever hear about the one who got shot because he got caught just standing in front of somebody's house like 3 nights in a row?
Oh my God, bro. That's terrifying.
I mean, you come to my house 3 times and just stare at my doorknob.
I'm going to fucking lose it. Yeah.
I mean, I'll at least rack one. Just let one rack and be like, all right.
Figure it out. I think what I missed out on when I went on my first clown rant is the interview they had with the clown in the car as they're driving around. This hilarious interview. He has one line in there that is very, very like resonating. And it was a lot of clowns like live 2 lives. They're like show 2 faces.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of them come from bad lives, so they like to dress up and make people feel good so they can like have a sense of like, oh, I'm actually making people happy.
Like balance.
Yeah, to balance it out. And he's like, but the persona, like we had talked about, had flipped. And I think, you know, you got to always think that that's what goes behind a lot of these urban legends is a 2-face kind of situation.
Have something to add about what you said being flipped, but real quick, I think going back to the 86 performers, how bad the crash was is so many of them were burned beyond like recognition. So a lot of them, and like they went to the gravesite in Chicago and looked at it, and a lot of them are just unknown performer, or unknown male performer. It was like they just were unknown people just buried there. But I wrote because they eventually touched on it, and we were like, oh my God, they're really but they talked about the Aurora shooting in the movie theater for The Dark Knight. And I wrote the Aurora shooting is seen as like a resurgence of the original archetype of clowns, because that's what they said in the show. It's like the original archetype is like a jester, it's like a trickster. And then the Joker from Batman has a very like he says, you know, I'm an agent of chaos. So it's kind of like, you know, we already have established that man is not mentally fit to be, you know, with a weapon or anything like that, but he causes a lot of chaos. And I think that kind of relates to what you were talking about with like flipping, you know, the script on how we deem clowns and how they act. It's kind of like, oh, I can be crazy now because, you know, oh, I'm a clown. Haha.
Mm-hmm. Do you like, why do we give, like, I know it's to take control of the story, giving people's names and stuff, but I feel it makes it worse. Like, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of urban legend. I'm a huge fan of just telling it how it is. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
people in general like mystery, and they like being kind of like how I like watching shit that makes me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I think it's because we're so used to being comfortable, and it pushes us. It's kind of like when people go on roller coasters. It gives you that rush of like, oh shit, this is not normal.
Mm.
And so I feel like people do that. And like with the Phantom, you know, I feel like all of them, they talked about him, you know, as each individual incident. Like, oh, this is what happened. So-and-so was murdered. This is all the evidence. This is who he blamed. But like with the Phantom, they saw the Phantom in the newspaper, like just the name. And they were like, oh, we're going to call him the Phantom because we need something to call him so people have control.
And now it's just Twitter. Twitter makes everybody's name.
Yep.
I think it's just a fucking hashtag now.
Something interesting that I noticed is that with a lot of urban legends, there's a tendency to take something innocent and make it into something morbid. So first you have the Candyman, right? Like the Candyman is this. I think of the song in Willy Wonka. You know, the Candyman comes in, he mixes it with love, or whatever the hell it is, right?
I have no idea what the fuck
you're fucking
about.
Vibing right now, but I just let you go with it.
Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I don't remember that song.
Was it an Oompa Loompa?
It wasn't. No, it wasn't. I don't think it was I don't remember if it was a sing along, but it's the beginning of the movie before shit pops off with a golden ticket, and it shows all the kids after school going to the candy shop.
Mm.
And there's this
okay.
dapper looking like Candyman. It's like the old candy shop with all the jars and shit.
Right.
Anyways, that's like the image of Candyman. And here's all this shit comes Candyman. No, that's scary now. That's you're gonna get violated. If you see
You're
a
gonna
candy-
get violated.
if you see a Candyman. And then clowns, innocent, hilarious. They want to make people happy. John Wayne Gacy, you're gonna be buried under his fucking porch. and then if you want to go further, you can look at other things. Like I thought of like Chucky, right?
Right.
Play toy. Scary. Now that's scary, bro. Fuck you.
Bro, don't even get me started. My son has a Jessie doll from Toy Story, and that bitch talks on her own.
I don't like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna like go find her because I think she's buried in like a toy box. I'm gonna go find her and open like her back up because I think it's like a back Velcro.
What if you
Bro,
They're
like?
gonna fucking kill me.
There's nothing in there.
That's the scene from fucking Chucky from Child's Play. The thing starts talking and she's like, I don't think I put batteries in it. And she looks and she unscrews it and there's no fucking batteries in it. And she just goes, huh.
See, now has anybody ever just shot Chucky point blank with a double-aught buckshot?
In some of the later movies, dude, that thing got really off the rails. Where
I remember there was one where like there was like an army platoon that was fighting or something, and like one of the guys jumps on a grenade to save his platoon. It was a Chucky movie. I was like, why is this?
I think it was like the third one. Some of them got really weird.
I never watched them.
Yeah.
Did you never watch the Sci-Fi Channel as a kid?
It would creep me out, bro.
See, it would creep me out too, but that's why I'd
You
fucking
leave
watch
the
it
Sci-Fi Channel on past 10 a.m. You're gonna wake up. I will never
past 10
forget
a.m. or 10 p.m.
10 p.m. You'll wake up to the Twilight Zone at about 2 a.m.
See,
And
Twilight Zone doesn't freak me out that much. The fucking
when I was a kid, though, waking up and I'm just like,
See-
Oh, Talking Tina. That's the Chucky. Bro, in Twilight Zone, Talking
I know there's
Tina was the original Chucky
Right.
story.
right, but there was for me, what would happen a lot of the time is I would wake up in the middle of the night and I'd be like, I can't go to sleep. I'm gonna watch Sci-Fi Channel and open, and it'd be like some like zombie movie, and I'd be like, I like zombies. Okay, I'm gonna watch this. Or it would be like sci-fi was great for showing really shitty B films, like with just absolutely terrible CGI. So I'd
Mhm.
watch a lot of those shits, but there's a couple I saw where like there's this one where like it's like a family of cannibals,
oh my God.
and like they keep moving because like they have a little boy, like probably my son's age. He doesn't know how to control his urges.
You
So
just be eating
well,
babies.
so they keep him how you keep Cece
oh,
in a
perfect.
fucking kennel. And then I don't remember the exact. I'm gonna have to look this shit up now. But there's like the exact plot of the film. I forgot. But like somebody like goes off the rails. They start eating people, and so they're like, "Fuck! All right, well we gotta move." And then like there's like a caretaker, like a social worker who checks in on him, and he's like, "Oh hey, who's this little kid?" And he like gets into the kennel with the kid, and the kid fucking eats him.
Jesus.
Yeah, like it's
Just can't
shit.
control it.
It's shit like that, or like Cabin Fever,
Mm.
shit like that. But this is getting to be a little bit of a longer episode, so
Yeah.
I think we'll let Christian go ahead and start with his closing arguments and his rating.
Okay. One last.
That's part of your closing.
Yes. Okay.
Christian's gonna give us his MLM now.
This is all part of my closing. A clown. Yeah. Let's say it's a clown MLM, and you have to. Maybe it's for like booking like performers for like birthday parties and stuff. And what you do is you like pretend to be a firm, but really you're just getting like the next people down to sign like the contract to do like however many like parties.
Mm.
So then it's like a pyramid. It's like I get two people to sign the contract. Then it's like, hey, you'll get like some kickback if you sign up some other people, and it's just like the bozo fucking pyramid, bro.
I thought where you were going with that is we got to knock out all of these like urban legends, just like how that guy did in his at the end of the documentary, and where he'd be like, oh yeah, no, urban legend don't exist. So I thought you were going to say clowns tied in with Candymen that go to birthday parties. And then we also have like a man with a hook hand performer, and we just flip all of these narratives on their head. Like, these are great people. You're having a great time. Good party.
The hook man, he just catches fish.
And then the parents don't even have to be there. Free babysitters. And then You
The
got the big
trifecta is complete.
boom.
We have to renormalize these characters, okay?
Yes.
Clowns, hook fellas. They're just like, blue collar guys like you and me, like just trying to make $1.
Just one guy dressed as it all. Like half clown, half Candyman,
Pirate clown,
half
Candyman.
Phantom.
So, one thing that I noticed is that like our culture, we kind of celebrate morbid shit,
Hell yeah, brother.
which like it's as cool as it is kind of unnerving. Because I think of when somebody pointed out how for some reason Charles Manson is this somewhat like rock star looking figure, kind of, where like people are very interested in his life and like look at him and say, oh, he's this interesting individual that like we like to talk about, kind of. And it's kind of weird, and like that gets into some of this stuff too. I think like we choose to make things morbid, and it could be like, we have Halloween. It's there's some morbid things that can go with that, or scary movies. We love Hollywood films, and we like some crazy ass shit where people get hacked up for some reason. And that's a big part of some like snuff films like Life Leak or something, people getting chopped up. But that's a big part of this too. For my closing sentiments, I thought the cultural like explanation of this was really good, and that's why I'd recommend it. Some of the individual stories, there's a little bit of a problem where like you get kind of invested in them, but then they withhold details and just move on to the next thing. Also, the structure is a little bit like, it's kind of like this 4-part structure, but it's also a little bit mixed up. It's like, oh, are we still talking about Candyman, or are we talking about the Hook guy? And so it gets a little bit iffy, which not terrible, but like I wish like there'd be like a more like clear structure to it. Overall, really interesting though. Like we just talked about a bunch of interesting shit. It definitely piqued my interest. So I'll say it was like a 3.5. That sounds right to me.
Okay. So George.
Yeah, no, I'll keep it brief because, like Chris, you covered most of the reasons why I'm not going to rate this a very high pineapple rating. It's going to be my lowest pineapple rating I've given a documentary, and it's not because I didn't like the content in there. I just didn't like the way it was presented. The narration, the interviewers, like those reporters, They were flying through these things, and they didn't really just sit down and give me a chance to like listen to their voices, give a firm, clear, detailed explanation. They would just say something super fast. You'd be like, okay, this is building. And then they'd randomly interview some just weird person that kind of throws off the scent. I'm giving this a 2.75 pineapples.
God damn.
I know. I think in the future, I got to be honest with you right off the jump. I think I was like, like I'm feeling this, I'm into this. And then, about halfway through there, I was just like, man, this is not what I thought it would be. But at the same time, we've talked about an hour and a half about this goddamn thing. So I mean, it definitely gives you like enough material to hit home a show like this. So I'm grateful for you, Killer Legends. And I'm grateful for that, like the 2 journalists. They did a fucking kick-ass job, but it's just too big of a project for an hour and a half.
Yeah. So I'll start with my rating and then go into my I give this a 4. The reason why is the content alone was just like I was just soaking it all up. But like for people who have listened, like Christian and I have our YouTube channel where we talk about stuff like this. So I'm always just looking for more information, not just so I can, make a YouTube video, but just so I can be like, wow, because I would watch this stuff years before I even did YouTube about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do agree though. The reason why it doesn't have any higher of a rating is because like they would like withhold details, and I don't think they would do it necessarily like, oh, we can't tell them. That it would just be kind of like, yeah, we're pressed for time. I think if they did this as like a series, I feel like this would be a really good series, like a Netflix original series where they just drove like each episode was because like each part was about 30 minutes.
Yeah,
they could do like a 30-minute episode once a week, and they could just oh hey, we're gonna go to West End and or Clendenin.
Oh yeah, Clendenin, West Virginia.
West Virginia, talk
Yeah.
about Mothman. You know, they could go to Miami, talk about the Cubans.
Yeah, like I feel like if this was like a series where each episode was each of the 4 things they talked about to begin with. So like, here's Hookman, right? You know, we talk about him. We talk about here's the legend and here's the story that really happened, and here's some interviews and whatever shit sprinkled in there. And it'd be a good format.
Yeah, I before we end off, I just gotta say that DJ Khaled transition we had was fucking
Oh
great.
my god!
So we were watching it on Amazon Prime with ads, and like towards the end they were like, sometimes it's scarier being in real life, and then they go, "We the best." It's like DJ Khaled talking, and I thought they were still like in the, because I was like looking away for a second. I thought we were still in the fucking documentary.
How did this motherfucker get in here?
My worst nightmare, fucking DJ Khaled pops up on the damn screen. We the best music.
Major.
But we want you guys to go and watch this Killer Legends. We saw it was on Netflix, but I guess it's not anymore.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, free with ads. So we invite you to form your own opinion. Dang, your dog is just going to town.
Yeah, she's eating a bone right now. Oh my god.
So I'll rush through this. So you can find us Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Lukewarm Cinema Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube, Lukewarm Cinema Podcast. We've been getting a lot of traction on YouTube. We want to thank everybody who's watching this.
Appreciate you
we
guys.
appreciate you
we
guys.
Appreciate it.
So you know where to find us. If you want to get in touch with us, tell us about your own urban legends or urban tell us. Please tell us. We would love to have an episode where we talk about that. You can get in touch with us, lukewarmcinemapodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, guys, Jinkui.